We will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
Mr. President, can you clarify the Canada-Mexico tariffs? You had put that 30-day pause.
Yeah.
You just referred to
25%.
25%. When does it go into effect?
April 2nd.
April 2nd for Canada-Mexico.
Correct. And for everything. We support Canada. $200 billion a year in subsidies, one way or the other. We let them make millions of cars. We let them send us lumber. We don't need their lumber. We're going to free up our lumber. Lee's going to do the head of environmental. We're going to free up our lumber. We have the best lumber there is. We don't need their lumber. What do we need their lumber for? When you look at we subsidize them $200 billion a year. Without us, Canada can't make it. You know, Canada relies on us 95%. We rely on them 4%. Big difference. And I say Canada should be our 51st state. There's no tariffs, no nothing. And I say that we give them military protection. They have a very small military. They spend very little money on military. On NATO, they're just about last in terms of payment because they say, why should we spend on military? That's a tremendous cost. Most nations can't afford to even think about it. Why should we spend on military? The United States protects us. And I would say that's largely true. We protect Canada, but it's not fair. It's not fair that they're not paying their way. And if they had to pay their way, they couldn't exist. When I spoke to, let's call it the Prime Minister rather than the governor, but when I spoke to him, I said, why are we giving you $200 billion a year? He was unable to answer the question. I said, why are we letting you make millions of cars and send them in? He was unable to answer the question. Justin Trudeau, a nice guy. I think he's a very good guy. I call him Governor Trudeau. He should be governor because the fact is that...
Clear. Conversations around a 51st state are a non-starter. It's never going to happen. But we have to take seriously what the president is saying.
If we don't give them cars, we don't have to give them cars. The tariffs will make it impossible for them to sell cars into the United States. The tariffs will make it impossible for them to sell lumber or anything else into the United States. And all I'm asking to do is break even or lose a little bit, but not lose $200 billion. And we love Canada. I love Canada. I love the people of Canada. And but honestly, it's not fair for us to be supporting Canada. And if we don't support them, they don't subsist as a nation. Is anybody unhappy with Elon? If you are, well, throw them out of here. Is anybody unhappy?
又从娃娃抓起，是不是？
Decreases in crossings at the border to continue the pause on tariffs against Mexico and Canada. And
No, I'm not stopping the tariffs. No, millions of people have died because of the fentanyl that comes over the border.
Even with the 90% drop in border crossings, though,
Well, that's
compared to about a year ago.
Yeah, they've been good, but that's also due to us, mostly due to us. I mean, it's very hard. It's right now very hard to come through the border. But the damage has been done. We've lost millions of people due to, and I have to tell you that, you know, on April 2nd, I was going to do it on April 1st, but I'm a little bit superstitious, so I made it April 2nd. The tariffs go on, not all of them, but a lot of them.
Mr. President, do you still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator?
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that.
Today, the American president said his 25% punitive tariffs on goods imported from Canada and Mexico will go into effect on Tuesday, March 4th.
And a lot of drugs are coming in through Canada. We can't have that. They're only apprehending 1%. You're right about that. It's a little more than that. But they should be apprehending much more because a lot comes through Canada.
Are you not seeing the progress that you wanted in order to...
I don't see it at all. No, not on drugs.
The first thing on tariffs is to emphasize that our government, and indeed all of Team Canada, premiers, business leaders, community leaders, are focused on one thing, making sure that come Tuesday and for the weeks that follow, there are no tariffs imposed on Canada. The tariffs that the president speaks of for next week are centered around the fentanyl crisis that they're facing in the United States, but that we are also facing in Canada. And for months now I've been emphasizing that less than 1% of the fentanyl that arrives in the United States comes from Canada. But we know that even that 1% or less than 1% should be reduced, which is why we've invested $1.3 billion in strengthening our border capacities with Black Hawk helicopters, with drones, with 10,000 people patrolling our borders and keeping Canadians and Americans safe. And we will continue, as we are this week, with ministers and heads of agencies, including the Commissioner of the RCMP and the head of the CBSA and our fentanyl czar down in Washington to demonstrate that this is an issue that we should be working together on and that Canada is not the source of problems for the United States. We will continue to do that work and do everything necessary to avoid these tariffs coming in. But like I said, if on Tuesday there are unjustified tariffs brought in on Canada, we will have an immediate and extremely strong response, as Canadians expect.